Jambo.
Jambo, Bala.
Good evening. Musa is a lawyer, and really we should thank him for highlighting some of the aspects of the new constitution. So we are really lucky here in Dubai to have a lawyer who knows exactly what was going on with the new constitution. Fellow Kenyans, it is my distinct honor and privilege to have the opportunity this evening to host a dinner reception to mark the historic events in our country. And as Musa said, I'm very proud to be a Kenyan tonight. This morning, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, the President of the Republic of Kenya, led the whole nation in a colorful ceremony on the occasion of the promulgation of the new Kenya Constitution. Those of us in UAE who are lucky to have followed the event either through the television or through listening to the radio will agree with me that this was an occasion in which our hearts swelled with pride as the nation ushered in the new constitution and a new dawn in our country. I therefore want to take this opportunity really to congratulate all Kenyans in UAE as we join our compatriots back home in celebrating this momentous occasion. As I was watching the television, those of us who were able to tune in to KTN and watched as the President was signing the 6 copies of the Constitution with 6 different pens. I don't know whether you noticed that. For each one he had a pen so that it does not appear that it was repeated. And it was sealed, and I don't know whether you learned that seal is what has been sealing most of our documents since 1963. You have seen it looks like a kind of old thing. So it's the same thing that has done that for all these years. Well, it was the first time for me to see that instrument. And then the President waived the Constitution. It dawned on me that this was the beginning of a new Kenya. And as the events progressed and the national anthem was sung, and we didn't do that here, I wish we had sung all the 3 stanzas in Kiswahili, in full. Mwangi, we failed. We should have done that. They sang that. And how many of us have had 21 gun salutes? How many of you in Kenya? I think it's the first time I did that. So as Musa said, we missed out in 1963. I was born actually. But I was too young. I don't remember even the celebration. But those of us who missed out in that celebration, I think this was an historic moment in our nation, seeing the rebirth of the Second Republic. And the whole nation, as the Chief Qadi said, no, was this the Chief Qadi? No, who was it? Who talked of from Lamu to the Chief Qadi, from all over. And you could see from the traditional dances all over the country, everybody was there. So in short, this was the day for Kenyans, and we were all proud this morning to be part of that nation. I have never doubted that I was born in the most beautiful country. I've never doubted that in my mind. There has always been the problem of the issue of whether we have the right institutions in terms of governance and the rest. But I think with this new constitution today that has been promulgated, we are firmly now on track to move our country forward to where really we want. So today, I think Vision 2030 looks more nearer than 2030 than I thought. Those of us who had doubt, I think now you can believe that our nation surely is on the track to become a middle-income country by 2030, if not before. On this day, the Second Republic is born, and in the words of our head of state, I don't know those of you who listen to him, it is the most important day in the history of our nation since independence. And as I mentioned, I gave you an example. I think none of us have ever had the 21 gun salute. So really, this was a very important day in our history. And as the former Chief Father of Kenya said in his prayer statement, it is also an auspicious day, falling on a Friday in the holy month of Ramadan. Prior to coming here, I joined our fellow Kenyan Muslims in an iftar which they held in Dubai. Every year during Ramadan, they ensure that one Friday they have an iftar. And it was quite an important event that I have always, last year I joined them and this year I've joined them. I've told them that I'll be doing that for as long as I'll be in this country to make sure that I show solidarity with all Kenyans. And the same goes to all Kenyans, whatever kind of celebration that we arrange. I think the Kenya Embassy will be part of your event and be part of your celebration. And therefore, I challenge our brothers and sisters, the Christians, to ensure that this year we have a Christmas party in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, the quest for a new constitution began 20 years ago. This was a 20-year journey. Today, therefore, for many of them, it may look like the end, but surely this is not so much an ending, but a fresh beginning for our young nation like Kenya. We're just 47 years old. When you compare to some countries even that don't have constitution, that drafted our own constitution. Very interesting. 47 years is a very short period for any country. We now have a new constitution which defines the kind of country we wish to live in and proudly call our home. And as I said, today we're all proud to call ourselves Kenyans. There's no doubt in my mind that the framers of the new constitution are fully conscious. I think we're discussing this with most of the teams. Are very fully conscious of the challenges facing the nation and fashioned a constitution that took into consideration the needs and aspirations of all Kenyans. So those who were involved in crafting this constitution knew how Kenyans can be also crafted and made sure that every step we took, there was no going back. And for so many of our MPs who are used to showing technical appearance, by the time they realize, wow, they can't go back. Too late. They have to ensure that the constitution is in place. So really the crafters, and I want to go back to the team of Martha Karua and the rest, that crafted the Constitution Review of Kenya, is that correct? The Constitution of Kenya Review Act, that really ensured that whichever steps they took, you cannot go back, but you can only move forward. It took us 20 years, so it had to come to an end. And frankly, they did a very good job. This constitution is uniquely Kenyan and reflects the diversity of our nation. It is a constitution that belongs to all Kenyans, regardless of our race, ethnicity, faith, gender, or class. This constitution is for all Kenyans. After 47 years, we have a constitution in which the people of Kenya ultimately determine the course of their nation. For 20 years, Kenyans debated this constitution. For 20 years, we've been debating this constitution. We voted in 2 referendums. Of course, one failed. The other one went through. And ultimately, with a vote of 67% of those who voted, we own the constitution, as Musa said. Drafted by Kenyans, debated by all Kenyans, and now owned by all Kenyans. So this, to be honest, this is the first constitution for Kenya, in the real sense of it, because the other was not participatory at all. Even if many of us are not there, it was never participatory. These were things that were negotiated in Lancaster, if I'm not wrong. So this one was a constitution, I believe, one of the constitutions that took so long, that was debated widely, that was very participatory in nature. So we must congratulate ourselves that really today we have reached at least the end of one particular phase of that issue of the constitution, which is promulgating the new constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, the new constitution has has ensured total separation of powers and provided the necessary checks and balances. Of course, there is a debate which is the best system. But we have somehow gone close to the American system, where the executive is virtually separated from the legislature. No more ministers who are MPs, who when they go out would want to see what they can get for their constituency. You are now going to have technocrats who are appointed as ministers, and their responsibility is to their ministry and nothing else. No politics, no nothing. And the job of our legislators is to do what? To legislate. And of course the judiciary. So in a way, I think we have a system that one can say is a nice, as close as possible to the separation of powers, but of course with the checks and balances. I'm not sure people talk of an inferior presidency. Looking at this constitution, I am not sure whether that is anywhere close to that. I think this constitution really checks the powers of the president through ensuring that Parliament also has a role in whatever decision that the executive is going to take. It has ensured that ours is a government that is going to be based on the rule of law, which Moses talked about, where the basic law provides for a very important thing, for the inalienable rights and freedoms, as well as protecting its citizens, and one which reflects the universal principles of human rights, principles of gender equality, principles of good governance, among so many other, values that, mature democracies have. So I think we are there. We have moved to that. This constitution really, with the Bill of Rights, very, very, very well crafted, ensures that every Kenyan today has a right and can take on the system to ensure that their rights are met. For the first time in our history, we have a mechanism for equalization through the structure, through developed structures of structure of government. I'm thinking on this because I think if you look at this devolved government, which I think was talked about, having worked in the government for over 27 years, it has now dawned on me that we are really over-centralized. There's very little decentralization in terms of government structures. So really, the creation of the county government, which is the county assembly and the county executive, means that regions of our country today will have equal opportunity in development, and therefore slowly, progressively be able to bridge that imbalance that existed before. So as you look at a place like Mandera or Moyale and the rest, over time, over 10, 15, 20 years, you are going to see movement towards really some kind of reduction in that imbalance. So I think it will address a lot of issues. For example, the urban migration, where a large number of the machineries, I just learned this machinery recently. So it is becoming a very difficult language. When you watch some of the news nowadays in the KTN and the rest, you ask yourself, is this the language that I knew? It's interesting. Yeah, machinery. There's been a lot of migration towards the city. I believe now with the resources being decentralized to the county, I think there will be a lot of wealth now being created in counties, including building capacity, because we expect counties to be self-sufficient in terms of, for example, building hotels, doing some of the small important things that they can be able to do that. So I see light at the end of the tunnel, as Moses said. It will take a while. We are a very optimistic nation. If you recall, in 2003, was it about 80%? Kenyans are optimistic. Things are going to change overnight. I think this week there was also another poll taken, and our optimism is all